On my daughter's birthday, my mom showed up uninvited and demanded that my daughter call her mom instead of me. I just laughed and said, "You're just in time for the announcement." When the police arrived, she screamed. I was in the kitchen setting up cupcakes when I heard a knock on the door. It was a hard, angry knock, the kind that makes your stomach twist. I already knew who it was. My daughter's birthday party was in full swing, kids laughing, balloons everywhere, decorations all around. It was supposed to be a happy day, but, of course, my mother had to show up and try to ruin it. When I opened the door, she stood there like she owned the place. My mother, the woman who gave birth to me but never really acted like a mother, she had that smug, nasty look on her face. "Hello, darling," she said, trying to walk past me, but I didn't move. "What are you doing here?" I asked, trying to stay calm, even though I already knew why she was there. "It's my granddaughter's birthday, and you didn't invite me," she said, eyes narrowing, "and that's no way to talk to your mother." I sighed. "You're not my mother, you lost that right a long time ago." She scoffed. "Well, your daughter doesn't know that, and to her, I'm her grandmother." I held back my anger. "You're not in her life, you don't just get to show up and pretend you are." Then she said something that made my jaw drop. "From now on, she should call me Mom." I stared at her, stunned, then I let out a short laugh. "You've lost your mind." She lifted her chin. "I'm just as much her mother as you are." I couldn't believe her. After all the years of her neglect, lies, and betrayal, she was standing here demanding something she never earned. I shook my head and said, "You're just in time for the announcement." She looked at me suspiciously but walked inside anyway. The party was still going strong, kids were playing in the backyard, and parents were chatting and laughing. But then, sirens blared. My mother looked confused. "What's that?" I crossed my arms. "That would be the police." Her eyes went wide. "What?" Police officers walked through the yard toward the house, their faces serious. The adults at the party started whispering, wondering what was going on. My mother's face went pale. She knew why they were here. Her whole body tensed up, and she let out a terrified scream. "What did you do?" she yelled at me, her voice shaking. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. The officers walked up to her. One of them, a tall man with a serious look, stepped forward. "Ma'am, we need you to come with us." She backed away, her hands shaking. "No, this is a mistake. I haven't done anything." But she knew better. One of the officers pulled out a piece of paper. "We have a warrant for your arrest." And just like that, the party went silent. The music, the laughter, the conversations, all of it stopped as everyone stared at us. My mother, the woman who thought she was untouchable, was finally facing the consequences of everything she'd done. "I don't understand," she screamed. "This has to be some kind of joke. You set this up, you're trying to ruin me." I crossed my arms, my heart pounding, but I kept my voice calm. "No, Mom," I said, the word feeling bitter. "You did that all by yourself." One of the officers pulled out handcuffs, and that's when she snapped. She lunged at me, her fingers clawing at my arm, nails digging into my skin. She tried to grab me, shake me, anything to make me break. "You ungrateful little," she started, but the officers grabbed her before she could do anything worse. They pulled her back as she kicked and screamed like a wild animal. I stepped away, my arm stinging, but I kept my breathing steady. My mother screamed again, but now it sounded more like panic than anger. "What am I being arrested for?" she wailed, looking at the officers, hoping they'd say it was all a mistake. The tall officer didn't change his serious expression. "Fraud, identity theft, and child endangerment." Silence, absolute silence, then whispers. The parents at the party, the neighbors outside watching the flashing lights and shouting, they were all realizing just how serious this was. Child endangerment, that was the one that hit hardest. This wasn't just some family argument, this was real. My mother's eyes locked onto mine, her anger replaced by pure desperation. "What did you do?" she whispered, her voice breaking. I took a deep breath. "I found out what you did." She shook her head, her hair flying. No, that's not true. That's not." "It is," I said, stepping closer and lowering my voice. "I know about the accounts you opened in my name. I know about the money, the loans, the hospital records, everything." Her mouth opened and closed. She knew she was caught, and so did the police. The officers started dragging her toward the door, but she kept fighting, crying, and begging. "No, you don't understand. She's lying. My own daughter is lying about me." I didn't say anything else. I just stood there, arms crossed, watching them take her away, and just before they got her out the door, she screamed something that made my blood run cold. "You'll regret this. I swear it. I'll make you regret this." And then she was gone. The front door slammed shut. The flashing red and blue lights outside painted the house in a strange glow. I let out a slow breath. then turned around. Every single person at the party was staring at me. I forced a smile and clapped my hands. "Who wants cake?" I said. The guests laughed, but it was awkward and nervous. Still, it was enough. The party went on. The kids played, the parents whispered, but no one asked questions, no one pushed, and for the first time in a long while, I felt free, but deep down, I knew this wasn't over, not even close. I tried to act normal for the rest of the party. I smiled, cut the cake, and thanked everyone for coming, but inside, my heart was racing. My mother's last words before they took her away kept playing in my head. "You'll regret this. I'll make you regret this." I knew she meant it. After the last guest left, I locked every door and window, double-checking each one. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at my phone. I was exhausted, but I knew I wouldn't sleep. Not tonight. At 2:43 a.m., my phone rang. I jumped, my heart pounding. The caller ID said, "Unknown number." I hesitated, then answered. At first, there was only silence. Then, I heard slow, ragged breathing, and then, "You think you've won." I froze. It was her, my mother. "You're in jail," I said, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turned white. She laughed, low and creepy. "Oh, honey," she said, "you have no idea what's coming," and then she hung up. I sat there, stunned. How could she be calling me? I just saw her get arrested. The next morning, I called the police station. "Your mother is still in custody," the officer said. "No phone privileges." My stomach dropped. So, she couldn't have called me? No, that's impossible. But it wasn't, because I knew what I heard, and that was only the beginning. The letters started arriving the next day. The first one was in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting right away. It was my mother's. "You think you're safe? You're not. I told you I will make you regret this. You have no idea what you've done." I read it 3 times. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped it. I called the police again. "She's still in jail," the officer said. "There's no way she sent you that." But someone did, and they knew exactly how to scare me. 2 days later, another letter arrived. This one was worse. It had a fake document with my signature on it. A note scrawled in red ink read, "I wonder what will happen when this gets out." I felt sick. It was a fake statement saying I had taken out a huge loan in my mother's name. She was trying to make me look like the criminal, and she wasn't working alone. My mother was still locked up, so someone else was helping her, someone who had access to my information. I grabbed my phone and checked my messages and emails. Then I saw it, a bank notification from a week ago. "Confirmation, your request to change your primary email has been processed." I didn't make that request. Someone else did. Someone was hacking into my accounts, trying to destroy me while my mother waited behind bars for the perfect moment to strike. I thought this was over. I thought she was finally out of my life, but I was wrong. This was just the beginning. And I had a good idea who was helping her. My mother always had a favorite, a man she called her soulmate, but he was just as rotten as she was. His name was Liam, a slimy, manipulative con artist she had dated on and off for years. Every time she got into trouble, he was there, whispering in her ear, covering her tracks, helping her find ways to hurt me. Now, it was clear he was helping her again, and I had to stop them. I didn't have proof yet, but I knew what was happening, so I set a trap. I went to the police with the letters, the fake document, and the strange phone call. They agreed something was wrong, but without proof, they couldn't do much, so I decided to get proof myself. I logged into my online banking and set a new security alert that would notify me the second someone tried to access my accounts. Then, I made a fake email and linked it to my banking profile, making it look like I was trying to transfer a huge amount of money. Then, I waited. It didn't take long. The next morning, I got an alert. Someone was trying to take $50,000 from my account. And where were they doing it from? A cheap motel just 3 miles from the jail where my mother was being held. Gotcha. I called the police right away. Within 30 minutes, they were kicking down the motel door. And guess who they found? Liam. He was sitting on the bed with his laptop open, logged into my accounts. He didn't even try to hide it. The best part? He had letters from my mother spread out on the bed, with instructions on how to steal my money, forge documents, and blame me for everything. The cops arrested him, and I went to the station to press every charge I could. During questioning, Liam broke down and confessed to everything. He admitted my mother had planned all of it from her jail cell. She had someone sneaking her a phone, so she could stay in touch with him and plot against me. His confession got her bail revoked. She wasn't getting out. Not now. Not ever. I could have stopped there, knowing she was finally where she belonged, but after everything she put me through, I wanted real revenge. I took everything, every letter, every fake document, all the proof, and sent it to everyone she had ever lied to. her old friends, ex-coworkers, the whole extended family. I even posted it all online, including the police reports and the footage of Liam getting caught. Just like that, her perfect image was destroyed, her friends abandoned her, her reputation was ruined, the people she once fooled all turned on her. She went crazy. I got one last letter from her through her lawyer, a messy rant switching between begging for forgiveness and cursing me. I didn't reply. For the first time, she had no power over me. In the end, my mother was sentenced to 15 years in prison for fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Liam got 10 years for helping her. I moved on, my credit was fixed, my accounts were secure, I went to therapy, made real friends, and most importantly, my daughter never had to see my mother again. Her birthdays are peaceful now, no surprises, no threats, no chaos, just happiness. And honestly, that's the best revenge I could ever ask for.